Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter.
Welcome, folks, to this special episode of the CPG Guys. I had to be the Yankees announcer for Mr. Bond. Pitches and catches, man. Hold your breath. But, folks, this is a special episode because it's an Easter egg episode, day after Thanksgiving 2021. And we're going to talk about something that our generation is still trying to learn. We drop a ton of knowledge on all of you. Everything CPG, brands, retailers, e-commerce, in-store, gondola. But today it's going to be something very different. And we've got the right man for it as well. But first, I'm one of those CPG guys and my co-host, the man with the radio voice, sometimes lovingly called 007 with his latest movie, Mr. Peter Bond. How are you, sir?
I'm thinking, Sri, it's not an Easter egg. After yesterday, it's a turkey egg. And let me tell you, I am still in food coma overload. Oh, turkey, stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, 2 types of pies. Oh, crazy. How you doing?
You just made half our audience now go to Google and see if the turkey is a mammal, or what is the turkey? Is it an egg? Like, how does it have, what actually happens? That's what
Dude, it's a bird. Of course it's an egg.
Now he gives it away. Now people don't even have to Google. Thanks, man.
It's the bunny that's, if bunnies are laying eggs, we're in trouble, man.
Because of you, Google lost a ton of searches. So before we get to the actual episode, let me remind our audience, you can find all our content. As always, go to a browser, type cpgguys.com. And of course, join this growing audience on LinkedIn by going to your browser, typing linkedin.com. And then on the search bar, simply type CPG Guys. That easy. And a blue plus button will follow. What you can do is click that and you become part of the CPG Guys family by following us. We thank you for all the love you've shown us over the last 18 months. And today we decided to give you back some extra knowledge. And what we're going to discuss today is the world of crypto and the latest rad that's taking place all over this country, especially linked to art. I'm not the expert, but here Peter and I are to welcome the expert, Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, producer, artist, Mr. Gino the Ghost. And how are you, sir? Welcome to the show.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Big fan of the pod. I'm doing good. I have my coffee and I'm ready to rock.
Thank you so much for joining Peter and me today. And I'm also hearing that lately you've been shown a lot with Gary V himself, whether it be on his podcast. Am I right?
That's right. Me and Gary.
What was that about?
Yeah. So I'm very close. I go back and we'll get into this, but I'm in the music business and I met Mike Boyd, who was kind of his right-hand guy. And Mike Boyd's like an OG in the music business. He's a legend at just like finding talent and doing stuff like that. And we met, and he connected us. I did a podcast with him about a year ago. It was kind of the first time we met. And then I did a show with DraftKings. Unfortunately, I'm a Detroit Lions fan, so I did a podcast with him, DraftKings, and Asher Roth, and who's a rapper. And we talked Lions versus 49ers and betting and all types of fun stuff like that. And then I was out in New York for NFT NYC, and we linked up in person, got to talking, and he's the best, man. He's a legend, so always good to see him.
Awesome. And recently you were also spotted with Gary V at the NFT conference down in New York City. Is that true?
Yeah. So that's what we were out there. So I went down to New York for NFT NYC, which I'm sure we'll get into. I just kind of ran into him. He did this secret wine tasting event, and obviously I got the invite. I pulled up on him, and it was just talking about all this nerdy NFT shit and stuff like that.
Gotcha. And 2 people who didn't get the invite were Peter and me. We're gonna have to change that next year, Peter. So
I'll try to make sure you guys can get the extended arm out there.
After today, Peter and I are going to jump right into NFTs. So last reminder for audience. We're partners with the Network of Executive Women. To join the Network of Executive Women, go to newonline.org/CPG Guys. So let me jump into it right away, Gino. Of course, all of Gino's information, including his YouTube channel, will be in the digital liner notes of this podcast. So, Gino, let me ask you a simple question, right? How did you get into music? How did you become a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, producer, artist? And why NFT? Like, you could have done a million things. So give us the scoop. Like, where are you from?
Okay, so I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I had a background in acting, in music. I was doing like battle rap in Detroit. Kind of started making a name for myself in college. And then as soon as I graduated college, I was actually in a movie with Universal called Into the Storm. So they flew me out to LA, and then I was in LA, and I called my mom, and I'm like, yo, just ship my car out here. I'm not leaving. The weather's too nice, and I'm ready. So been in LA doing music, and the acting stuff I kind of stopped doing as much until a later date. But the music kind of started to take off when I got into the songwriting game. And so my manager, Adam Small, got me into a bunch of rooms as a writer. I had a lot of success doing that, producing, songwriting, and was fortunate to have a lot of success. And then, I just won a Grammy for Best Alternative Album for Nati Peluso for the Latin Grammys. And I got into songwriting. I don't speak Spanish, so I was brought in to.
Wait. You have a Latin Grammy and you don't speak. Like, say more. How does that happen?
Yeah, I speak a little Spanish, mind you. I took 3 years of Spanish in high school.
Poquito.
I don't remember. Poquito. I met a really dope producer named Rafa, who and Fede Vinder, who are two huge producers in the Latin scene. They brought me in just to do melodies and produce and just kind of like songwrite from the outside scope of it. I'm very blessed to have been brought into like a culture that I know very little about and kind of give my own spin on things and give them a little Italian zest, And man, Nati Peluso she's a star. We did 3 really, really dope records together that did very, very well. Fortunate enough to win the Grammy. I lost best rap song to Bad Bunny, unfortunately, but we got one. We brought home one. So anyway, and then to answer your final bit, which is why NFTs. As a songwriter and a producer, when you're growing up and you hear about, you see the biggest writers and producers in the game and you're like, man, these guys must make so much money. Like, these guys must crush it. You realize when you're in the business in today's day and age, you don't make a lot of money. You can make money, and I make good money, but not the kind of money you would think for having #1 records and Grammys and things of that nature. It's in the streaming era. Royalties and payouts are far significantly less than you would ever imagine. DSPs like Spotify and Apple are doing their best to cut writers and songwriters out damn near entirely. They're trying to cut royalty rates again this upcoming quarter. Just to give you an idea, per million streams generates about $700 to songwriters and producers. That has to be divvied up amongst everybody involved. So it's terrible. So anyway, when I learned about NFTs and, the disruptive nature of them, obviously, you see, everyone thinks it's just JPEGs, it's just photos, but it's so much more than that. And when I kind of learned about the utility and the future of where we're headed and what it could mean for the music business, I started sinking my teeth in, because I'm all about, disrupting this Stone Age archaic business structure that is the music business. And also, I just love collecting and I love art. The listeners can't see, but I have a whole bunch of cartoons tatted on me. I grew up a huge Pokemon fan. I'm still a huge Pokemon fan. And I just love collecting. And what's really cool about NFTs, as I started to immerse myself in the world, is it bridges, finance and art and collecting and community and gaming kind of all in one in this new field that is the future of everything. So anyway, there's a long-winded answer to your question.
Shri, I would have thought that to win a Latin Grammy, you had to speak Latin. Goes to show you that I don't know much. It's all about the romance language.
You and me both, Peter. That we should stick to the consumer goods industry.
Oh, it's bad. And let me tell you, I also think that probably, given that he's won a Grammy, he's probably upgraded his wheels since the ones that he had his mom ship out to him those years ago. So that's a pretty good thing. Hey, Gino, it's really great to have you on the podcast. We are focused on education here. So we like to teach our audience a little something when they come to listen to us. So can you give us, I know Shree's going to get into non-fungible tokens, but can you give us kind of the 101 on cryptocurrency? What is crypto all about? How does it work? What fascinated for you?
Sure. So I guess in simplest terms, cryptocurrency is digital currency that you can't touch, right? It's a digital currency that is verified by a bunch of different computers, a network of computers. So every transaction is stored and verified on a ledger on the blockchain, right? On what's called the blockchain. So it's completely decentralized.
I knew that word would come up, Peter.
Yeah, the blockchain. Yeah, blockchain is a scary word. I mean, that's the thing. Crypto is such a daunting. It sounds so futuristic and scary. But once you kind of get to the bare bones of it, it's pretty simple. And that's the thing. You don't have to know I'm not an expert. I don't know how to do the algorithms of crypto, but essentially what it is, I think about it like this. All right, let's say we're playing poker, the three of us, right? And we don't have poker chips and we don't have our cash with us. So we all pull out a notepad and we start writing down the money, right? And as each hand goes, we write down who won money, who lost money. And after every hand, we verify it with each other. This is what's happening. This is what's happening, right? And that's essentially what the blockchain is, right? There's no third party. It's completely decentralized. It's all public. It's all transparent. Every transaction is verified by a bunch of nodes all over the world constantly. And, as that's happening, we fill up our notepads with transactions. All right, well, the paper is full. That's a block. So then we go to the next page. And if you think about it like that, each block is stored on that ledger in a chain of blocks. Blockchain.
Peter, this is the best explanation of blockchain I've ever received.
I actually understand what it is now. I've been faking it till I could make it. Now I can actually make it because that is just spot on. It's really about everybody keeping the same record, verifying it, and that's how you know it's real currency. I love that.
Yeah, that's this. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more complicated shit around it, but the core of it is very simple. I think the thing, the biggest takeaway is that it's completely decentralized. So there's no bank, there's no third party. And that's what gets people really excited. There's no holiday hours. It's not 9 to 5 like a brick and mortar bank. It's 24/7, 365. Anytime you want to send a transaction, and it's quick, and there's low fees, and that's kind of what's really exciting about it.
Wow, I don't have to have 50,000 in my checking account to get those low fees. This is awesome.
That's right. Yeah.
No fees. How exciting is that? So Gino, I wanted to jump a little bit into what is Ethereum, but can you give us a feel for what are the types of cryptos? And from a little bit that I've learned, listening to you, studying a little bit myself, Ethereum is a type of crypto. So can you tell us what are the types, and then what makes Ethereum special? What is it?
So there's a lot of cryptocurrencies. I think to date there's about 14,000 roughly coins, different cryptocurrencies. Yeah.
How many?
So about 14,000, but you have to understand most of those are what we call in the DeFi world shit coins, right? Which it's not very difficult to make a coin. It's essentially a network, right? So you can create a network. You can create, a coin. But like any investment, you want to stay away from most of them, right? So there's a lot of just shit out there, like just same with the stock market, penny stocks, right? So these shit coins could be equivalated to penny stocks if you want to think about it like that. I'd say like of the core, there's about 25 to 30 like really solid coins, and there's more growing. I mean, they're all startups, kind of, right? They're coins, they're tokens, but they're networks. And a lot of these coins do different things. So Bitcoin is kind of like the OG. It's really just a storage of value. Bitcoin doesn't really serve any purpose other than paying people, holding money, transferring money. It's kind of like, it's why it's called digital gold, right? Now, Ethereum, the reason most people are so passionate about Ethereum, is because it serves a real utility. It serves a real purpose. So Ethereum is like Bitcoin in that it's a network. However, other companies, if you will, other tokens are built on the Ethereum network using Ethereum smart contracts, if you will. So a smart contract it's like a smart contract, and this is a big buzzword. Write this one down at home, folks, when you're taking notes. A smart contract is a computer code that's built into the blockchain. It's like an algorithm built into the blockchain that facilitates, verifies, essentially a contract agreement, right? They operate under a set of conditions that both parties verify to. That sounds kind of complicated, but it's essentially just like if this, then this, and the contract executes. Right. So, for example, I don't know a lot about CPG, but, consumer product goods, let's say, instead of having to like make a deal with somebody where, okay, when you guys send the 30,000 cereal boxes and we get all those cereal boxes, we'll contact accounting and then they'll get the funds wired to you. And it takes a long fucking time, and it's a pain in the ass. Well, a smart contract...
That's actually what happens.
Glad that worked out. A smart contract is essentially a computer code that instantly, upon those cereal boxes landing, or whatever it is, instantly sends out the money. And if the money if the goods aren't done, or the contract isn't executed, it instantly sends the money back. From two wallets. So it's great for consumer to consumer. It's great from business to business. It's great from business to consumer. And so Ethereum, the Ethereum network, essentially is the most poppin', right? The most poppin' network for businesses, contracts, and NFTs to be built on.
No, that absolutely does. Thank you for that detailed and yet understandable explanation. This is why we love having these conversations, Gino, because there are a lot of people just like Sri and me who just don't understand it. We know our little niche of the world, but you're educating us as to something you've built an expertise around, and we're able to share that with our audience. So thank you very much. Made reference earlier about this, but that's very helpful on crypto. I still want to figure out, Sri, how you and I get our faces onto cryptocurrency. I don't think it works like that. I think what Gino's telling us, that's not, I think we're going to have to take over a small African nation if we want to do that. But
you mean, we can't have a CPG Guys crypto?
You could make.
There are 14,000. Why can't we be one of them?
14,001.
Again, I'm not an expert on that. I don't know how to make a token, but you guys could probably figure it out. You're smart. Yeah.
That's okay. Hey, let's move back to the other topic that we had already made reference to, which is NFT, or non-fungible tokens. You said you have a real fascination for it. Can you talk to us about what those are? Give us some examples of how those come to life, and why you think they're transformative in this digital age.
Yeah. So NFT stands for non-fungible token, which basically means non-replicable token, right? It's you can't recreate it. It's a one of one type thing. And so essentially what NFTs are is, as we continue to move towards a digital world, right? We're building, I'm going to say something that's going to sound really scary to your listeners, but it's coming whether you like it or not. We're building a universe on top of our universe, right? We're building a world on top of our world. And many would argue we already are living in the metaverse, right? The metaverse is essentially, people think it's like this Mark Zuckerberg virtual reality world where it is that too, but the metaverse is essentially when your digital presence precedes your physical presence, right? And it already does. I mean, so for, you look at someone's LinkedIn profile before you meet them in person, or Instagram or their Twitter or whatever that may be. And if their virtual presence sucks, you kind of form an opinion. If their virtual presence is popping, you form an opinion, right? So as we continue to move towards a world that is that, NFTs are the digital assets, the digital goods of that world, right? They're, how would I best describe it? I mean, I think what a lot of people like when they think NFTs now, the first thing they think of is like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, or the apes that you're seeing everybody posting, or just like an image, right? So I think a good way to get into this is to talk about the counter arguments for NFTs. So a lot of people think like, okay, this photo of an ape, they'll see a headline. This photo of an ape just sold for $500,000. Okay, so people are thinking, what? A, why would anybody ever buy a photo of an ape for $500,000? B, can I just take a screenshot of this photo? Can I right-click save this photo and now I own the photo and now it's worthless? Well, no. What makes that photo so valuable is the token. It's a non-fungible token. So it's not just a photo. That photo is verified on the blockchain, authenticated on the blockchain as the actual photo, right? So it's the same as if I were to have an original Basquiat, right? And I had this Basquiat. The only way that Basquiat's worth any money is with a certificate of authentication that Basquiat actually painted this photo. I could get a print of a Basquiat for $15 and hang it in my apartment, but it's not worth anything if it's not authenticated. It's the same principle. It's the same thought of if you take a screenshot or if you take, a photo. So, the reason that NFTs are so valuable is essentially they're digital art, right? So that ape, for example, why is that ape worth $500,000? Well, that ape belongs to a collection called the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Which is one of the first big NFT collections. It's a collection of 10,000 images that are generative, which I'll explain later. And the reason there's so much money is because, like art in the real world, art is worth what people are willing to pay. And that's kind of the whole purpose of decentralization. That's why crypto is so exciting, is there's no third party nation or market or person or dictator that decides how much something's worth. It's a collection of all the people in the world deciding this is worth something to me, right? So just like a bunch of rich people why do rich people get expensive paintings? Let me ask you guys.
Why do rich people have expensive taste?
No, expensive paintings. Why do they buy expensive paintings for their house? Why would I buy a Basquiat for my house?
Because you can.
Well, because I like the art.
Vanity.
And
it's going to appreciate.
I think it's going to appreciate, and it's a storage of value. But vanity, right? I want to flex on my house guests. Look at this super expensive painting I have in my house. Well, how many house guests do you have a month? 10, 20. If I buy an expensive piece of digital art and set it as my profile photo, how many visitors do I have to my profile a month? Right? So it's an online flex. But I think what a lot of people don't understand about NFTs yet is that they're not just photos. They're micro communities. These are companies. These are organizations. Bored Ape Yacht Club raised $90 million in 10 minutes. I mean, how many tech startups have ever done that? I don't think anybody's ever done that, right? And that's the power of NFTs. So what do they do with that $90 million? Well, their investors, their community, expects them to give them value. So when I was in NFT NYC, now I own 2 apes. When I was in NFT NYC, I got crazy value. I got to go on a yacht. I got to go get some super expensive, exclusive merch that you could only buy by being there and owning an ape. I resold that for crazy money. I got to go to this huge warehouse party where I met Aziz Ansari and Chris Rock. The Strokes performed, Lil Baby performed, Beck performed, Questlove performed, open bar, networked with some crazy people. It's essentially, it's like if you could, it's like a Soho House membership with dope art that you have ownership in. And I think what people don't realize is like, you know, these are cultural, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club is, and this is just an example, it's huge in culture right now. All types of celebrities and stars are buying these and setting them. Post Malone just did it, set it as his profile. Jimmy Fallon set it as his profile. And the reason they're doing that is because they're like, not only am I part of an exclusive club that there's only 10,000 spots in, but also I want to flex that I'm a part of it to everybody, you know, and you're a part of a community and you have ownership in it. It's like if there was only, it's like, you know, Apple's got a huge community, right? Everyone's like, they love Apple. They love their Apple products, right? Well, it's like if there was only 10,000 shares of Apple and you could own own one of the 10,000 shares. Well, as people want those shares more, it drives up the value. So yeah, that's just kind of like one of the things that's exciting about it.
So, you can see how all of a sudden Peter and I became very silent. Doesn't happen often on the show. It's because I think what I'm realizing, Peter, is for many in our generation, I can understand why, not everybody, but many in our generation, why this is quite intimidating. But it also sounds like to me, Gino, what you're trying to say is this NFT collection, number one, is limited, somewhat of an auction bidding system that's driving the price up of the non-fungible tokens themselves. And the fact that they're actually authenticated because of blockchain. Hey, I got that word in again, Peter. Anything you buy as an NFT is automatically going to come authenticated. So if people were to create knockoff, etc., you'd have nowhere to trade them anyway. So you would just be able to like put it in your profile or something, a profile pic or something of that nature. At that point, you're probably violating some privacy law or copyright or something anyway.
Well, the thing is like not even. It's just you don't own it. It's like if I were to take a photo in front of an expensive car, and it's how embarrassing for you to be posing in front of a car you don't own, right? It's the same, essentially the same principle. And that's what's cool about blockchain. It's all public. And the future isn't just that. The future is everything will be an NFT, right? New York Giants tickets will be NFTs. The Dallas Mavericks are already doing it. Every ticket is an NFT.
So wait. So I can today buy stuff as an NFT that is not just collectible art, like you just said, Dallas Mavericks tickets.
Yep. And so here's an example. A lot of sports companies, the New York Giants, Dallas Mavericks, Well, one of the big issues they run into is scalping, right? They don't make any money on tickets, and that's why they hate scalping, and that's why scalping is illegal. Well, what if a ticket was an NFT that's verified on blockchain? So not only as somebody who wants to buy a ticket on secondary, now I know it's an actual ticket, but also the Dallas Mavericks still make their money when it's resold because every token has a built-in smart contract. Royalties are built in. So one of the most exciting things about NFTs are in that smart contract, let's say us three, we launch an NFT, right? We launch a CPG Guys NFT for this episode, right? Sure. Well, our royalty is built into the smart contract. So when it's first sold, we instantly get our royalties sent to our wallet instantly. Not only on the first sale, but forever. No matter when or what it's sold, for the history, for the rest of time, royalty will be sent to everyone's address instantly, no matter what. And that's what's also really exciting about it.
Wow. Thank you for that articulate explanation. I had one last question for you on the NFT piece. I think you may have already answered that question for me. I wanted to ask you if it's regulated, and because of the way blockchain works, it's automatically coming in with regulations. That's how. But is there like any legal regulations, anything going on?
It's kind of in this weird limbo stage right now. I think the U.S. government's trying to figure out like how can we make money on this, because technically, you're profiting. These are taxable events, right? The argument is like, well, if I don't cash out from Ethereum into USD, I haven't realized the profits yet. But the counter argument is, well, you have realized the profits because this is an actual currency that you can buy things with. So they're not securities yet. They're not considered securities. And I think the big fight is for them to not be considered securities. And I think what the U.S. government and a lot of different governments, the conundrum they're running into is they can't over-regulate because people are rejecting. The U.S. dollar has deflated 20% in the last, 20 years, 10 years? And they're just printing more and more money. And I think what a lot of these governments are going to have to start to realize is and same with the banks, we're going to have to adapt, because if we don't, what's stopping anybody from even using our piece of shit currency? You know what I mean? Why would I use the US dollar when I can just use, I think the thing that's keeping a lot of people away from crypto is how volatile it is, right? And that's because it's trying to find its value right now. It's again, we're in this kind of limbo stage. Well, once everything kind of settles, if I put my money in the bank, not only am I losing money, but they're investing my money. The banks are investing in cryptocurrency. So this isn't financial advice to go invest in cryptocurrency, but I think, the government's trying to figure out regulation, but they're also trying to do it in a way where the U.S. government could do with some crypto. I mean, there are trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. You don't think the U.S. government has been buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and, they haven't.
All true. Well, Peter, how about that, huh? What do you think, Peter?
I think that you and I have quickly got to turn our logo into a non-fungible token, do a couple of different design iterations, and start making some money off this. Somehow we're going to put it on YouTube too, and that's going to make us some more money. At least that's what Gary told us, what Gino told us before the beginning of the episode. So this is really exciting. Now we are the students again today, Sri. Gino
Absolutely
has educated me more in this episode than probably 10 other episodes that we've hosted. This is really exciting. I'm actually really excited about this. and I
Me
think it's
too,
going to
me
change
too.
how you and I behave.
Me too. And don't be surprised if there is a CPG Guys an NFT that actually shows up at some point, right? We've got our little actual caricatures done already, ready to go, don't we, Peter?
There you go. I think, like, people are. I've been having a lot of these conversations more and more and more as it's kind of getting more popular, and people are kind of starting to learn more about it. I think everyone, the knee jerk reaction to it is to just write it off as a Ponzi scheme or stupid or a scam. And I would just invite everybody to, instead of doing that and instantly writing it off, to just take the time to, like, all right, there's probably a reason that everybody is buzzing about Web3. I was a little too young to really be coherent and aware of what was going on in the Web2 jump, but I've just been watching a lot of these videos of videos that have not aged well, of people making fun of the internet and making fun of Web2 and making fun of Amazon and it's, you don't want to be. It's easy to be ignorant to it. It's easy to write it off because it's not comfortable, but you don't want to be late. I always.
Isn't that generally wisdom for our age? It's too easy to be an idiot about things.
Yeah, I think it's wisdom for everybody. I think everybody just lives in their, today's day and age, they live in their bubble of, mind you, their centralized bubble that the algorithm has given you, right? Of what's comfortable information for you, this echo chamber. And it's, I think, imperative, especially now, as we're in the forefront of Web3, to just kind of like learn about it. And you don't have to go out and spend $150,000 on a Bored Ape, but, learn about Ethereum, learn about Bitcoin. All right, with my investment strategy, where could I pencil this in? How could I maybe make this work? What shitty stock investments can I cut ties with that I don't really care about? And how can I allocate those funds to, like, get a piece of crypto just in case? I think, like, if you consider yourself somebody who is serious about investing in business and finance, you'd kind of be crazy to not pay attention to what's happening.
Gino, thank you so much for that. I think we certainly got a one-on-one on Ethereum, NFT, crypto, and so much more on this special Easter egg episode, day after Thanksgiving 2021. Peter, pleasure doing this week over week with you, man.
Next episode with Gino, we're going to have to hear about how the pandemic inspired his hit song Quarantine.
Oh,
we'll save that for the next episode.
Absolutely. Great, bright video. Can't wait. And for all our listeners, hopefully this special episode gave you all a lot of knowledge dropping right here on the CPG Guys, and we'll be back again very soon. Another episode of the CPG Guys. Until then, don't forget, best way to join the conversation with us, go to linkedin.com, type CPG Guys on the search bar, the blue plus button that shows up, it's follow, and you can be part of shaping who comes on the show, what knowledge y'all want to hear, and what the CPG Guys, Peter and Shri, can really do for you.
Can I shamelessly plug myself real quick?
Please.
Follow me at Gino the Ghost on all social media platforms.
And that's going to be in the digital liner notes of this podcast as we kind of set up front, Gino. All that stuff is going to be there. Do follow Gino the Ghost. That's at Gino the Ghost, Instagram, YouTube channel. And of course, are you a TikTok dude as well?
I'm a big TikTok guy.
Should the CPG Guys get a TikTok channel?
Yes, you should. Absolutely.
First person to say it, Peter.
All right, Shri, I think we just have to do it. Let's just do it.
Fire it up. Fire it up.
See you guys soon. Another episode of the CPG Guys.
Thanks again for having me, guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.